thanks for watching another video. This is the third video where I am just giving you guys a beginner's tutorial, really. This is aimed at people who haven't really used this program before or not very much. We've looked at Microsoft Word and Excel previously, so check those videos out if that's something you're interested in. But today we're going to be looking at Microsoft PowerPoint. Now, this is the latest version of PowerPoint. If you have an older version, it might be a bit different. There are obviously some new features and new design, but for most people, this should, even if you are using an older version, this should still give you a lot of useful information and should apply. So this is the starter screen, if you like, and what you can see here is a few different templates depending on what you want. Now, Microsoft offer a whole bunch of these. These are just some examples. You can actually use a search box at the top if there's something in particular you're looking for, or just you want a type of presentation for a particular theme. You can always use that to find something else. But as I'll show you now, you can actually create all of these yourself. We won't be creating all of them, but you'll get the idea of how you can change the design to suit you. You don't have to stick with the particular template that you're choosing. So we're going to open up a blank presentation. Now, as I'm sure you know, Microsoft PowerPoint is used to create slideshows. Now, these can be used for a whole bunch of purposes. A lot of businesses will use them to showcase stats and figures. They can be used, I know I use them all the time at university. They're very, very useful, and I'm pleased to say that it's very easy to understand how to use them, at least on a pretty basic level. So yeah, we're just going to crack on with that. Now, what you can see here, and if you've got Word or Excel as well, and if you've used those, you'll notice that the layout is very familiar. What we have is the tabs at the top. So we've got the Home tab. Now, this is where we're at the moment, and this is what Microsoft think you will find most useful. This is what most people use on a regular basis. We are going to go through some of the other tabs as well as we go along in the video. But for now, we're just going to stick with the Home tab because, like I say, that's where a lot of the basics are at, and a lot of people are going to use a lot of features on this tab. So this main screen here, this white area, is the slide. Now you can see it's suggesting that I add some titles and a subtitle, and we will be doing that shortly. But on the left here, you can also see we've got another blank slide here. Now this this whole thing here will be your list of slides, so you can quickly change between slides to edit them as and when you like. And now as we create more slides throughout this video, you'll kind of see what I mean. So what we could do here is we could just click where it's suggesting, and we could just put a title, and put here this is a subtitle. So our first slide, and you can actually see a brief preview here. This is what it's going to look like. This is our first slide. Obviously, this is very bland, very boring, and you're probably going to want to sort of jazz it up a little bit, which we will do. In fact, we'll get started with that. No, we won't. We'll come on to that in a moment. So first of all, we're just going to cover some of the basics here on the Home tab. So we've got this title here. Now, let's say we don't really like the font. What you've got here is exactly the same as in Excel and Microsoft Word. There's lots of options to change the text. So we can change the font, and you can see as I scroll over, it's going to change those. So yeah, that's a bit more bold. I quite like that. We can change the font size, or you can do that here by just going up. So I'll make it a little bit bigger. And this subtitle here, if I just highlight that, you can also do some of these options here in the box that appears, or we can just go up here, and I'm just going to underline that, and let's change the text to a blue. So you can see we've got a very simple title and a subtitle here. Now, what you can also do, you'll notice that they've put this in a text box. So what I could do is I could just go on here, could drag it around, and you'll see as I'm dragging just across here, it actually clicks in place when you get close to it, and that is going to align that automatically in the middle. And if I drag down, you see it's going to click there, or I could go all the way down, and then there, if I wanted that, that's the exact middle for the text box of the slide. We're just going to leave it there as it was. But that's just something to bear in mind. It's very easy to maneuver these text boxes around. You can change the shape and size of them as well. Yeah, very basic stuff. As we come across here to the right, we can do things like move the text to the left, or we can center it or put it to the right. You can also do bullet points and numbers. We'll do those on another slide actually. We've got some basic options here if you want to insert some lines, arrows, different shapes, which again, I'm going to show you on another slide. But I think for now, we're just going to leave this slide as it is. So that's our title slide. Now, obviously, most PowerPoint presentations are going to use many slides. So there are many ways you can do this. One of the ways, I don't know why, but this is the way I normally do it. I just right click here, and you can click New Slide. Another way you can see on the Home tab here is New Slide, and if I just click that, it's also going to create a new slide. Now you'll see the layout on this one is a bit different, because for most people, it knows that the first slide is going to have a title on it, and the second slide is going to contain more information. So it's given you here a title for this slide at the top, and then it's automatically put in a bullet point. Now we don't have to keep that. In fact, what I wanted to show you was, now if I just right click on this here and click delete slide, I'm just going to get rid of that slide. If I click on new slide here, you can actually see we can create various slides here. We can create a title slide, title with content, so it's moved it up a bit. Better slides for images, lots of different things here. Now these are just, again, templates, and you can create a completely blank slide where we've got absolutely nothing on it, and then we can create our own thing. But I'm just going to delete that for now, and I'm just going to create the standard slide that Microsoft thinks I might want, because actually there's a couple of things I want to show you here. So I'm just going to call this slide 2. I know I'm not very creative with my names. So here we've got bullet points. So point 1, point 2, and so on and so forth. So there's a couple of things there, but obviously a lot of people might want something different. If you want to get rid of the bullet points, you can just do that by removing them here. I'll remove that one, or you can select both to remove both of them. And again, you can change all the text, everything like that. But on this particular slide, I actually want to insert an image. So I could create a shape. If I want to create a shape, I've just clicked on the square there. I can go ahead and do so. Now, this particular shape has already been filled, and I believe it has, yeah, it's got a slight border. But if I wanted to, I could just click on Shape Fill. You can see as I'm hovering over these, it automatically changes the colour. So I could create a yellow one, and I could give it a black outline, for example, if that's what I wanted to do. But I might also want to insert an image, which is quite likely. So again, I could just go. I could go to the Insert tab here, and you can see there's lots of different things I can insert. I can insert a shape, as I just did from the Home tab. But I could insert an image. I could find an image online. So this particular one link here, pictures, will just go to your computer and insert an image from there. Another useful one as well is chart. Now, if you use Microsoft Excel, I mentioned earlier, obviously PowerPoints are often used to display perhaps end of the month results for a company or something like that. So charts could be very useful ones, and you can import any chart that you've created in Excel or any other program. And you can also insert a table as well, though I don't imagine too many people are going to use that, but you never know. You can also create a text box, which is exactly what these are. This is just a text box that Microsoft already put in, and it's given them sizes already. But I could create another one here, and I could just draw something out here. This is a box. And you can see here we've got a text box, and it's actually on top of the other text box. So it's not inside it, it's just on top of it. And I can move it around wherever I want. I could change the shape. It's not really going to do much unless I wanted to, say, create it like that. Not very useful. Or I could even put it on top of the image. Now it's worth noting that if you have one particular image or text box that you want on top of the other, what you can actually do is you can right click on said image and you can bring it to front. So now it's actually on top. Equally, you could put it back to where it was and send it to the back. So that's just something I kind of wanted to throw in there, something fairly basic, but you might find that quite useful. So as far as the insert tab goes that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I didn't want to go into too much detail. I've gone into a bit more detail on the Microsoft Word tutorial. It's very similar here. It's exactly the same. But here, when you want to insert text, you're going to be using text boxes. But again, they're covered in more detail if you want to watch the Microsoft Word tutorial. I'll leave a link in the description for you. But you can see it's very basic. Now, one of the main things you're probably thinking is, I don't want my PowerPoint presentation to just have a white background. I mean, how boring does this look? So I'm going to go over to the Design tab. The Draw tab, I don't really think many people are going to use. This just lets you draw. If you've got a touchscreen computer or something, you might find that useful. Most people aren't, so I'm not going to cover it. But if we go to the Design tab, we've got lots of different themes here. So I'm just going to click on the arrow here. You can see it's giving you even more. You can actually browse for even more themes. Microsoft offer a whole bunch of these. So if I hover over these, you can see that it's automatically going to format the PowerPoint presentation for me based on the theme that I've chosen. So we've got some basic ones. This is the one we had. Got some slightly more colourful ones, and then you've got some kind of pretty out there themes. Now, I think a lot of these are really good. I would say, it's personal preference, obviously, but a lot of people like to overdo it with their PowerPoint presentations. I would say keep them simple, make them look good and professional, but keep them relatively simple. It's not about how colourful you can make a presentation. It's about the information that you can display with it. So I'm just thinking of a particular theme that I'm going to choose, and I'm going to choose this parallax one. So nice, relatively simple colour, and it's just got a couple of lines going through it, so like a 3D effect. So it's automatically changed the format for both slides, and because of that, what I would recommend you do before you actually start creating all the content for your presentation is to choose the design first. I didn't do that, probably should have. I just wanted to cover some of the basics from the Home tab first. But now we've chosen our design, like I say, it'll apply that to all of them. So it's automatically put our title there on the right. I don't actually like the subtitle being there. I'm just going to go back to the Home tab. See, it's put it on the right. And I'm just going to decrease the size of this box a bit. It's in the center, and I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not trying to create an amazing slideshow right now, but I want it to look a little bit better. So that's what we're going to do there. This is our second slide. So now it's tried to put a title, as you can see there. Now I don't really like that. But what I'm actually going to do is just delete that text box we created. and I'm actually going to put that there. So I'm going to put it on top of that box that we created. Then we've got a couple of bullet points down there. So I'm quite happy with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create one more slide. We'll call this one slide 3. And we're going to create some text. Text here. And we're going to just quickly draw in a circle. Don't really mind how it looks. What I want to show you here is how you can add some effects. So the first one we're going to do is look at transitions. Now, I want slide 2 to fade in. So you can see here, these transitions are how your next slide is going to appear. And you've got a bunch of them. You've got these ones here, which Microsoft think are the most common. But you've also got a lot of other ones here as well. Some of them are a bit more, more animation to it. Some of them are quite simple. I like a nice simple fade. And you can see it actually gave you a brief demonstration there. So I actually want to look at this now and see how that looks, full screen, as you probably will as well. So there are several ways to do this, but my favorite way to do it is actually to just press the F5 key on the keyboard. So I'm going to do that. And what that's going to do is just take you to your first slide. So we got the title one here. Now if I click or if I press spacebar, that's going to take me to the next slide. And you can see it faded in. So a nice simple transition. Again, I wouldn't go crazy. I wouldn't have these slides sort of flying all over the place like you sometimes see. I would just keep it nice and simple. And I think fade is one of the nicest transitions you can have. So that's something you can do. You can do it for all the slides. You can do it just for a couple. You can change them up. It's completely up to you. Again, I'd try and keep it sort of simple, but it's up to you. Now, on this particular one, we don't actually want the whole slide to transition in. We're just going to keep it as none for now. But I do want a couple of things to come in as you click on that slide. So rather than the click taking you just to the next slide, I actually want it to bring in a particular element on the page. So I'm going to do that with the slide 3 title. So I've selected the text box here. And again, you can see a different collection of animations that you can choose from here. There are lots of these, but I'm just going to keep this one simple. I'm going to make it fly in. It's not really my favorite one. I probably wouldn't use this myself, but it's just good for demonstration purposes. So you can see that when I click that, it brings it in like so. So it's a brief demonstration. Now with this one, I want this one to, I don't actually know what all of these look like. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to use the wipe one. You can see it's labeled these 1 and 2. So what's going to happen is, in fact, I'll show you now. In fact, if I just go to the slideshow one, rather than pressing the F5, which will always take you back to the beginning, I'm just going to press from current slide here. So this is how the slide is going to look at first. Obviously the text here, I'll probably delete that or add a transition to it and make it number 3. But if I then press spacebar, it's going to bring slide 3 up. And if I press spacebar again, it's going to bring the circle up. Just going to press escape to get out of that. So again, I'd probably want this to have an animation as well. I'm just going to click shape. So it's going to come in like that. Again, not really something I would choose myself, but just something to bear in mind. And the last thing I just want to mention is you can choose when these start. So at the moment they just start on each click, but I can actually choose these to come in with the previous one or after the previous one. And there are a couple of other options as well, but I'm not going to go into those too much because that's getting a bit fancy and not what a lot of people are actually going to use. So that is, if we just press F5 now, you can see we've got our basic title. We've got our second slide fading in with a title and a couple of bullet points. And then we've got our third slide, slide 3, with a circle and some text appearing as well. And then that is the end of our slideshow. So I think I've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to in this particular tutorial. I haven't covered everything that PowerPoint has to offer, but I think I've covered most of the basics, gone through the Home tab, changed the design, added some transitions and animations to particular elements on the slides as well. Obviously, when you're done with this, you just get a file and you can save it as a PowerPoint presentation. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you have. Make sure you subscribe for more. That's it for my Microsoft tutorials for now. I'm going to be looking at some other software in the future. But if you guys want me to go into this in more detail at some point, then please let me know. And I'll be happy to do that for you. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.